In this video I'm going to show you an extremely simple yet effective trick to train your ears and become better at EQ. Let's get to it. Hello everyone, welcome back to MixPlus TV. Hope you're having a great day. Before we start, please check the info box down below for my mixing courses on Pro Mix Academy, free plugins, special discounts and offers. And of course, if you want to support the channel, but most important, if you really want to learn how to mix and master professionally, click the join button down here, become a MixPlus TV member, access the already big and always growing library of full mixing courses, many different genres, mastering courses, special videos, and a lot more. And if the channel and the videos are helping you, please grab some merch. We have t-shirts, mugs, hoodies, and so on. All right, when I said this was going to be a very simple trick, I meant it. This is disarmingly simple, but if you have a little bit of discipline and you apply it every time you EQ, I promise you, you will get better at EQing, especially the extreme bands, the very low end and the top end, especially when we go, for example, in mastering, you want to apply a top lift or a bottom bump. But of course, it works in the mid-range as well. This is, I don't want to call it a technique because it's so natural, especially when you have analog gear, and it's even more natural when you have multiple of the same. For example, like me, multiple EQs. Especially in mastering, I want to say, let's say I need the usual top lift or the air band, call it the way you want. I have at least 4 analog equalizers that I can use for the airlift, and each one has a different character and a different color, even given the same settings. In fact, I'm going to do a couple of other videos comparing all my analog equalizers, top end and bottom end, so you can hear those differences. But when you work like that, you have to switch one to another, as opposed, for example, if you work in the box, you grab one EQ and you start sweeping the frequency, right? Let's say I want a top lift. Same down guy, same down vibes. I know that you heard this. I deserve this after what. All right, this is what we usually do with plugins. To some extent, we do this with analog equalizers as well, but aside from my SPL PQ, which has a million frequency choices, all the other equalizers have fixed frequencies, which forces you to jump from one to another with a click. For example, my Empress EQ, which is the equalizer that I will use for this test. If we take a look at the top end, I have 16, then 12, then 8K, then 5K, then 4K and 3K. So I don't have in-between frequencies for that, and it switches, it jumps from one to another. I learned with experience that if I quote-unquote reset my hearing before switching from one frequency to another and I bypass the EQ, wait a second and then turning back on, I'm kind of more fresh and objective on the frequency that I'm listening at that point, as opposed to swiping or turning the frequency selector without bypassing the EQ. Let me show this to you because, like I said, it's super simple, but it's very effective. We'll start with the top end, and at first I will just move the selector without bypassing, all right? So we start bypassed.
Just tryna sound like what real sound like. I'm still the same down guy, same down vibes. I know that you heard this. I deserve this after what the hurt did. It done turned out perfect. I'm just tryna sound like what real sound like. I'm still the same down guy, same down vibes. I know that you heard this. I deserve this after what the hurt did. It done turned out perfect. I told you I'm just tryna sound like what real sound like. I'm still the same down guy, same down vibes. I know that you heard this. I deserve this after what the hurt did. It done turned out perfect. I'm just tryna sound like what real sound like. I'm still the same down guy, same down vibes. I know that you heard this. I deserve this after what the hurt did. It done turned out perfect. I told you I'm just tryna sound like what real sound like. I'm still the same down guy, same down vibes. I know that you heard this. I deserve this after what the hurt did. It done turned out perfect. I'm just tryna sound like what real sound like. I'm still the same down guy, same down vibes. I know that you heard this. I deserve this after what the hurt did. It done turned out perfect. I told you I'm just tryna sound like what real sound like. I'm still the same down guy, same down vibes. I know that you heard this. I deserve this after what the hurt did. It done turned out perfect. I'm just tryna sound like what real sound like. I'm still the same down guy, same down vibes. I know that you heard this. I deserve this. After what the hurt did, it'll turn out perfect. I told you I'm just tryna sound like what real sound like. I'm still the same down guy, same down vibes. I know that you heard this. I deserve this. After what the hurt did, it'll turn out perfect. I'm just tryna sound like what real sound like. I'm still the same down guy, same down vibes. I know that you heard this. I deserve this. After what the hurt did, it'll turn out perfect. I told you I'm just tryna sound like what real sound like. I'm still the same down.
All right, pretty simple, but you hear how you can reset your listening and have a better comparison between the with and without EQ every time you select a frequency and you bypass EQ every selection. If you rewind the video and you go to when I first inserted the EQ, the first boost, the 16K, it felt like not that much. And then as soon as I started switching the frequency selector to go lower and lower and grabbing the vocals, the snare and all the other things, it felt like the mix was opening up. But then after, when I reset and I started 16K, that sounded nice. And then you go to 3K or 5K, and it sounds too much. The mix kind of started to thin out instead. And not only works better short term for the task that you have at that moment, but it trains your ear to recognize immediately what frequency could that mix need. And the less trial and error you do when you EQ, the better you become. Let's do another example, for example, with the mid-range and the low end. Again, you heard when I first engaged the low end, 30 Hertz, it sounded full and nice, even because this is actually a mix that I mastered a couple of days ago, and it needed low end. This is the mix. But you heard when I started going higher in frequency, especially with a sweetening EQ with a broad curve like the Empress Pultec style EQ, the passages between frequencies are so smooth that your brain kind of eases in the new sound and you don't really pick the differences between 130. Yes, of course you hear them because the frequency is going higher, is grabbing more things in the mid-low range, but it's much better. You have a fresh perspective every time you bypass the EQ. In fact, if you rewind the video, you go, the first time that I hit 100, I was trying 30 and 60. And the low end, you could hear the change. The 30 was like really deep low end. The 60 started to grab the kick a little more. And then when I switched to 100, the kick punch came out. And it sounded nice. At that point, going back to 30 sounded like this big low end was slightly detached from the rest of the song, right? While going to 60 kind of felt like the right balance. Then you try 100 again, that was exciting before, now it's too much of that kick. And again, your opinion may vary, but it's not important. What's important is every time you bypass, you kind of reset your hearing for a second. Last example on the mid-range.
Yeah, feel the rush of adrenaline. Yeah, pull back again, pump the right medicine, pick up the veterans. Peacock and Masterson, feel the rush of adrenaline. Yeah, pull back You chewing up when I'm showing up that meat like Ed Gein, I'm that mean. That beats, I beat the dead with the dead sheep, cold feet like cop killers meeting police. An MC, rockin' tree, MMC, 365 days. My mind sideways, my third eye aim 5 times in the mirror, and I appear. You get shook with the right hook, bend over, game over. Peacock and assassin, ha! Feel the rush of adrenaline, yeah. Pull back again, pump the right medicine, pick up the veterans. Peacock and assassin, ha! Feel the rush of adrenaline, yeah. Pull back again, pump the right medicine, pick up the veterans.
Y'all break bread, I break ribs. I just stay factious, spit fibs. Y'all straight bitch with no tears. Relying on dope and iron with dope is. Your shit so soft like porridge. I feel sorry for your moms and I petty your kids. Bunch of one-trick ponies, no layers. We straight bosses, make wins out of losses. Venom coming straight from the tonsils, make him seize nauseous. Face mask won't help when I make him breathe all this. Time to start brawling, the hell with all rules. This here lawless, we don't knock, we crash doors. Real rap fast force, killer mic crash course. Talk shit and get what you ask for. We been hot for a minute, we still rockin' the pennant. Provide you with adrenaline, riding like we're militant. Grimy and vicious, from now till infinity.
Yeah, Peacock and assassin, ha! Feel the rush of adrenaline, yeah. Pull back again, pump the right medicine, pick up the veterans. Peacock and assassin, ha! Feel the rush of adrenaline, yeah. Pull back again, pump the right medicine, pick up the veterans.
So this way, again, resetting every time, you just have a completely different perspective and perception of your boost and cuts EQ. I think this is it for this video. I hope you liked it, and if you did, please don't forget to leave a like. Let me know in the comment down below, what do you think? Were you already using this technique? Let me know if this helped you. I want to hear you guys in the comment down below. Check the info box with all the links before you go. Click the join button, become a MixBus TV member if you want to up your mix and mastering game. Subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you for watching. See you next time.
Hands on my neck, hands grip my throat. Lift me up, man, take control. Heart is so cold.